Hey, YouTube friends, I'm going to go out on a limb. I think I'm going out on a limb here a little bit. The way I'm going, I went out on a limb in October of 2016, and I said that Trump was going to win by a landslide. Now he won as through the system they call electoral votes or something. In a landslide, but the popular vote he didn't, and all the kind of stuff that how they tally votes, and it's a bit convoluted, I think. Anyway, I don't care. I just have the sense. Um, at the time, I said Trump is going to win, contrary to the perception in the domain. It was like Clinton, Hillary was way ahead of Trump, and there was no way some Yahoo like Trump was going to win. So I'm going to just interject. I'll have a little link to the video from October, I think it was 25th of 2016, when I said that Trump was going to win in a landslide, and I'm saying that Biden's going to win because, well, the world, the way it is understood to be functioning, is not a random. There are no random occurrences from the point of view of uh, um, human beings within the realm of our social structures. The social structure has been formulated and created for the purpose of manipulating us. This is something very clear to me. It's when I say the world is not what it appears to be, it primarily refers to the behavior of a segment of people among us that have taken it upon themselves to direct us in a certain way. So people who analyze financial markets and create candlestick graphs and stochastics and statistics and all that kind of stuff is irrelevant from the point of view that even within those statistics, if they reveal a pattern, there is a result even before these statistics would appear or occur to anyone to be of interest. I'm saying that there is a result included in events already. So, as for example, an election, it is preconceived within the social structure, the things that we believe to be universal and a kind of I don't want to say necessarily random, gives the wrong impression, but that things actually function on the level we observe or believe them to be functioning, that there is no backroom manipulation. And people will say, well, what are you talking about? Lots of people have exposed and are talking about the manipulation and how Agenda 21 and the homogenization of the planet and beer viruses that are going to simultaneously appear on every on every continent among all people at the same time, and the response is all the same. Yes, people have identified the manipulation very well. Um, and my point in this is that to some extent, I might even say that the exposing of the manipulation is also part of the plan. Some people even have addressed that. There is a kind of race to the end here by people who want to analyze and present us with this sort of swami feeling of understanding about everything, and making it in many ways a lot more complex than it actually is. My channel, in essence, is what I attempt when I comment on something. What I attempt to do is reverse the externalization of the world to draw attention primarily for people that listen to me about something I've understood in myself, that the true meaning and essence of my experience as a human being comes from an inner world, not an outer world. And this is why I chose to be a painter. I believe I chose to be a painter. It is an activity. It's a fairly, in the scheme of things, I would say it's one of the highest activities in terms of reflecting this inner world. Obviously, other creative people, musicians and writers, the creative side of things has a lot to offer us, which is why the most expensive object on the planet is actually a painting, I believe. It's more expensive than the most valuable diamond or any object. You can take, let's say, a Vincent, a Starry Night painting under your arm and buy a country almost. Why is that? You ask yourself, why is that? And his work at the time was totally ignored. You see, so there has been a shift, and that in itself is problematic as well. This reveals reveals a weakness in us to say that a painting becomes so valuable that it could literally completely make irrelevant half the population in a sense. This is what it feels like to me. There's a problem here. There is something wrong. But on the other hand, what I'm saying, that there is a recognition, even among the manipulators, that there is a supreme value in certain activities. And one of them is, like I say, painting is a fabulous way to express this inner world, something that actually supersedes all the things that go on around us. Now, this is, in a world where there is suffering and hurt, it's very difficult to attach or to feel within oneself, like maybe swamis might have done in the past, that sort of biblical metaphor of the martyr saint who is burned at the stake. They've got him lying down and they're burning him, and he before he dies, he says to his captors and torturers, he says, "Please turn me over. I'm done on that side." So this is something that is a very high, if I say to myself, this is possible, that would be a very high level of existing in the external world, meaning you exist primarily through an inner world. Do you see what I'm saying? How did I get onto that? This is interesting. I was going to comment on Trump Biden and whatever it is. I guess I have to go back on my video to see what it is that started me off on this idea. Okay, yes, of course, that it's predetermined, that things that we believe to be open to, as we say, free will or choice, now within the context of social structure and economic structures and all the different institutionalization of our activity has fundamentally reduced our freedom to a group of people that I think have understood this very well, and with the aid of levels of technology that I don't really think we understand. If you listen to people that analyze numbers, there is a compelling case to be made that the ritualization of the manipulation is well documented through what is called gematria, the analysis of numbers, words, letters, numbers, which is something I'm somewhat familiar to in terms of my study on Kabbalah, which is basic. It's fundamentally Kabbalah is an understanding that a number, a word, and a letter and a number are essentially the same thing. Numbers create equations, letters create words. So you have a reality, and in the beginning was the word. The idea is that all of our reality, it's a metaphor, of course. Biblical stories are metaphors, and as I proceeded deeper into an understanding of this, there's actually, I'll give an example of this. Kabbalah says that letters used in biblical scriptures, the letters physically represent what they communicate. So in other words, the Hebrew alphabet, which is used, the letters themselves, the symbol of those letters represent that which they communicate. It's somewhat complex, but once we have the key to looking at this in a way that it pops off the page, I can see how a person, through their intuition, can understand scriptures in a much more organic way rather than an intellectual translating kind of way. It's a completely different story that unfolds, and I'm not going to go into this right now. You can research this yourself. Kabbalah, and the person I recommend highly on this is Carlos Suarez, who wrote the Kabbalah trilogy. And you don't have to understand the complexity, just get his explanation of how things actually work and what the sages understood and how they express themselves through this language. Anyway, this is the backdrop to what I believe to be occurring when we come to the reality. So the reality, let's say right now, of this election, this what people call a crucial election. Yeah, may or may not be. Yeah, it's, I mean, people in turmoil, suffering. This is not going to end just because we feel ourselves to be fortunate to be on the winning team, society and country, like the Americans really think of themselves. This is quite insidious. They all think they're on the winning team, basically. Meanwhile, the empire is collapsing all around them. You could argue that, you know, like the Roman Empire apparently took 400 or 500 years to collapse. So there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go, and it doesn't really feel like it. But what is happening, in my mind, what I'm going to go out on a limb again, and the reason I'm going to say that Biden wins is because everything suggests otherwise. Like to get a character like Biden, he's near 80, he's obviously quite challenged. He's not a sage. He's not a swami. He's been in the pit, in the what did Trump call it? The swamp. He's one of the swamp creatures. And like they couldn't bring out Hillary again because, well, for obvious reasons, she lost. And the losing part of it, though, it was not a loss. It was predetermined. It was designed. It's part of the design. And the reason I'm going out on a limb on Biden, and a lot of people say, oh, no, Biden is a shoo-in. Well, no, not the way I perceive, the way this person is pitted against this person. So you have a Trump speaking as, okay, how do I express this? Because I have incredible disdain for this person as a human being, and he's not on my side. He's not on the part of this world that I represent, or that I want to be more closely tied to every day, that inner world, to be part of that. He's everything other than the inner world, and even worse is the Biden character. I would say even worse is the Biden character, and I think people get this. People get this, that this is like the worst or the lesser of two evil kind of ideas, is the idea that Biden would win is the lesser of two evil. I think people, but anyway, whatever explanation you come up to, and your hatred for Trump or your disdain for Biden or whatever it might be, the point is that everything for me points towards a Trump election, a Trump victory, which at the time, everything pointed toward a Hillary victory. And I said, no, that's not how this society, how this system, how this manipulation works. So I'm going to say Biden's going to win. I think even big time in some form or other. Maybe not electoral votes, but probably popular vote. Or vice versa. I'm not sure how this unfolds. I'm going to go out on a limb because this again is kind of like my thought is things are so extremely coordinated now. If you look at the beer virus, if you look how coordinated this beer virus is, globally, worldwide, how deeply it has sunk into the psyche of people, that an illness where you're not sick is a pandemic, where people are not dying en masse more than the year before when there was no illness pandemic, that if you look at the actual numbers of deaths, the births far exceed the number of deaths still so far in the last 8 months or 9 months when this is supposedly happening. And the number of deaths, if you look at, they may spike on certain months more or less, but it's not what I would call a pandemic. So if you observe this as a human being, as a natural human, as a natural human being, as a human being capable of observing and coming to a conclusion, and willing to admit that you're wrong, that if it turns out that your observation does not jive with the facts, then you say, well, I was wrong. But at this point, unless there is some hidden aspect to this supposed beer virus that hasn't really hit yet, it's not happening. It's been manipulated. In the same way, all these events, elections, are manipulated. Fundamentally, people are put in place and they're sanctioned. I'm going to have my, at the end of this, I'll put a snippet of that video attached. Actually, I'll edit it into this my little speech here. And so basically, that's why I thought I'd come on the screen for you today and make that prediction. So have a look what I said in my last October, I think it was October 25th, 2016, when I said Trump would win by a landslide. And at the time I said it's because I didn't have this explanation. At the time I said it's because people have realized through the tradition of the Hillary side of things, people's hearts were broken. People felt themselves giving up. Their hearts were broken. So they shifted away from this heartbreak Hillary scenario to, the person who said, we came, we saw, he died, this kind of lack of feeling. I mean, they put it right in our faces, huh? How Hillary presented herself in this Gaddafi thing. We came, we saw, he died. This brutal kind of presentation of a world leader. I mean, this is so in our faces. Anyway, I'll end it here, and I'll attach the little 1 or 2 minute segment of this video I did for the last election. So, Biden's going to win because everybody thinks Trump is really going to win. At least it feels that way to me. It feels this way, not as much as with Clinton, but I would say that Trump really is seen as somebody that's supposed to win this because Biden is such a ridiculous candidate to stand opposite to him. And I want to also, before I say that, I want to say Donald Trump is going to win in a landslide. I'm going to go on a limb. Is it a limb? I don't think so. This guy's going to win in a landslide. Donald Trump is going to wipe the floor with Clinton. And they're all coming out and saying, oh, Clinton is like, oh, fucking H. She's like way ahead. Oh, Trump is making a little. This guy is saying all the right things to the people that understand in their own lives the hurt and the suffering. People are saying they're going to elect this guy because they're saying we don't want to die from broken hearts anymore, which is why he's going to win. Hillary says, elect me and I'll make sure you die of a broken heart and you don't have to continue your existence. You can just sort of go away because I will make sure your hearts will break. That's the Clinton routine. And Trump, do I believe him? No. But he's saying all the right things for people that understand that our hearts are being broken. Maybe they'll formulate it the way I might in a video, but their hearts are being broken and they understand this. So Donald Trump in a landslide. I'm going to say he's going to win big time. He's going to win. He's going to win.